Yeah. So do you think, and I got an answer for it, but I want to ask you first. How much of an impact do you actually, feel that George Floyd and Breanna Taylor had on you being able to raise money?
Um, a lot, a lot. I think the market. Well, I think so. Data. Again, I'm a big data person. It
Yeah.
showed that last year VCs were more inclined to take leads with minority and women founders, but yet they didn't invest in minority. And the numbers stayed exactly the same. I think, and then people started calling them out about that, like, hey, we don't need meetings, we don't need advice, we need capital. Um, I think more so than anything, it didn't necessarily get me more. Like, even you look now, my investor isn't an institutional VC. My investor is more of a strategic investor. They're actually a bunch of lenders that have seen the market shift because of George Floyd, where people are more focused on equality and fair lending, and our solution is more valuable for that. So I think that had more of an impact than VCs saying, "Oh, well, we need to go give minority founders more money," because the VCs were the ones that were saying, "Oh, this isn't a good idea. You don't have product market fit." Even though we had, a bunch of users and a bunch of lenders that we had already signed up on our own, and plus we had, we have IBM, Experian, ListHub, like a bunch of like at least $5 billion companies that are in exclusive strategic partnerships with a company at that time. We have raised less than $1 million. You don't see that often, but yet we still weren't given credit for that as minority. I'm an African American. My co-founder is Latino. Institutional VCs didn't give us credit for that.
Mm, mm.
So I
Yeah.
say that to say that I don't think that it really changed anything from a true VC perspective. I think we were fortunate enough that a group of lenders saw what we were trying to do. They understood the necessity of addressing fair lending because of the way the market is shifting, and we were the best solution out there for them, and we had a plan to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't even know. I didn't even know statistically it didn't really change.
Yeah.
But I do, like Ruben, from Career Karma. It's another app built by some Black founders from New York, um, that I think hit the unicorn status last year as well. They both came out of Y Combinator, so I felt like Y Combinator actually boosted their ability to raise money, because you get in the Y Combinator, that's better than getting into Harvard or whatever. And then there was another guy, I'm blanking on his name, Vernon actually. He built an app called Real Time, which is similar to Clubhouse. It was actually out before Clubhouse.
Mhm.
I saw that he had also raised money. He's the actually youngest, probably the youngest Black founder I know to have raised money
Yeah,
that amount.
it's
Because he's like 24, 23. And it's funny because I met him 2 years ago when I was in the Bay, and he was telling me his idea. This is when I was doing a Tech Trap House. And I think he was trying to get me to put Tech Trap House on his app. And I was like, I couldn't really follow his vision because we were using Eventbrite. And I'm like, well, I'm using Eventbrite to handle all my processing. Why would I use Real Time? But he's also a technical co-founder as well,
yeah.
right? So yeah,
No, it's
but
it's tough.
it's beautiful to see it. Yeah.
I know the guys that Michael. He's a young Black founder. I think he's 21, and he founded Perch Credit, which is the company that Jay-Z funded or invested into. And it's tough. The data. And again, I hate to keep going back to data, but
No, numbers don't lie. It just
don't lie.
the
And
person who's looking at it tells a different story.
right,
So
you can tell whatever story you want, but the numbers show that there's only been 94 African American females that have raised more than $1 million ever. That's not last year. That's ever,
yeah.
ever. So
And
you
you
can't.
and you also know Will I Am, at the time, I think even now, he has most of the funding that has ever gone to African Americans or
Exactly.
underrepresented communities. And it's like,
Exactly. So again, we don't need. I mean, we do, but so I don't want to come off the wrong way, but you know, we don't just need more advisory services or investors to take meetings with us and to be advisors to us. We need investors to take meetings with us with the intention of actually investing, and that's been
right.
something that I've been very vocal about. Um, because I feel like as African Americans. It's like, hey, we got this money. Don't say anything else. Don't upset anyone. And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to upset anyone, but I think, what better opportunity to raise awareness than to take someone that has done it, and I have a resume, so you can't argue my resume, and then
Right.
say that, hey, it still took me 4 years. It took me selling my Miami condo, my exotic cars to fund my own business. And that's not to say I shouldn't have done that. That's just to say that with my resume, if I were
You
white,
shouldn't
would I
have
have
done it.
had to
Yeah.
do that? And
Yeah.
the answer is no. I would not have had to sell everything, move to my mom's couch in Orlando, and pursue the dream. That's not, that wouldn't have had to happen, especially with the amount of traction that we had. That wouldn't have had to happen if I were of a different race.
Yeah. 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 Agreed. I mean, yeah. Um,
Again, but I think, that out of everything with George Floyd and everything, I'm not really a political person. Obviously, as people talk about that I did stuff with Obama, I actually did stuff with Republicans too. So, I'm not, you're not, there's no secret there that, I used to say red or blue, all I saw is green. um, I did stuff with Renee Elmers, we put her into Congress, you know what I mean? So um, the point that I make is that, I think with the last year, we saw just how divided the country truly was in many capacities. And I think that as an African American man, and having worked both as an entrepreneur and in corporate America, when I said that, this is happening, I feel like I'm being discriminated against. It was like, oh no, racism doesn't exist. It was kind of a passive aggressive context. Like, oh no, that couldn't. There's no way that can still
yeah.
happen these
It's
days.
just like you get caught doing something wrong. You're like, I don't even know that person.
Right. Like I don't even know that person. But now I think that, with last year, if nothing else, it shed a light on the fact that we still have a long way to go for equality in the country. And
Right.
now you're seeing that data is coming out saying that, that we definitely have a long way to go. And it's not just because, you know, credit scores and stuff like that. Like there's more to it. And a lot of it starts with there's still a lot of human bias in a lot of the processes, and the system wasn't built. Like when you look at the numbers again, like a lot of the you talk about that wealth gap, and of course it's highlighted on African Americans because we're the worst group out of everyone, especially when it comes to home ownership. But last year was the best year to buy homes. 84% of the people that bought homes were white. There was no minority ethnicity that was in double digits. Latinos were the next highest segment, and they were only at 7%. African Americans were at the bottom at 4%. But then you look at equality, when you truly talk about equality, same-sex couples were 73% more likely to get declined than heterosexual couples. Women right now pay higher mortgage rates, even though they're more qualified than their male counterparts in 49 states. 49 states. So you can't say
What's
that.
the one state? What's the one state? Alaska or something?
I forget. It might be Alaska. It's. I'll have to. I really don't remember the one. I don't even know if it mentioned the one state. But it's just that you can't say that. We talk about well, African Americans aren't qualified to buy homes, and it's because they're credit, which may be a true statement. But why is it that the one thing that you say unqualifies us the most is the one data point? So HMDA data is known as the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act, which basically says that the lender has to collect your age, sex, race, etc., to make a mortgage, which sounds counterintuitive to the fact that HMDA was originally intended to decrease biases and discrimination. In 1975 when it was created. So you're looking at this and you're saying that this is supposed to help, but then the reason that we say that the discrepancy is so big, that there's such a big gap in home ownership, is because African Americans don't have the proper credit scores. We got credit scores is the one data point that publicly you are not required to submit for to show for HMDA data. So now we're using a field that we don't have a way to prove or disprove that theory is correct or inaccurate. We just have to go on your word that it is. So our argument is that let's make it a little bit more transparent, not just only for African Americans, but for everyone, so that let's play spades with the cards up. All trust.
Right.